Welcome back, once again, adventurers, to Let's Play Robotics Notes Elite. In the last episode, Akiho Senomiya officially bid farewell to the Robotics Club of Chuo Tanegashima High. But then, as Kaito had expected, Akiho had declared her intention to continue eventually reaching the point that Misaki, her older sister, did all those years ago. Unfortunately for Akiho, it seems like, well, everyone and everything is now against her. And that also includes Kaito Yashio himself, who has decided to, decided to wield the white glove and issue an ultimatum. Should Akiho defeat Kaito at Kill-Ballad for the first time, and possibly the only time, then he will continue tagging along like always. But if, on the other hand, the usual result happens, which is Akiho can never and will never beat Kaito Yashio at Kill-Ballad, then, well, he won't be there with her, is all that matters, is basically what he said. And once again, Kaito goes from being likable protagonist to being absolute scumbag. I hate you, Kaito. At this very moment in time, I despise you. Yeah, just one, and only one. God damn it. Yeah, we're doing this. I know all too well. Kaito being smug and snide as always. This one match will decide everything. This will determine how me, Akiho, and the Robotics Club move forward. Matching complete. Gunvarrel versus Gunvarrel. I hate to do this, Akiho. I really do. I really, really do. And as usual, Akiho, not really relying on the, not really relying on advanced combos, so Kaito doesn't have to either. God damn it. My apologies, Akiho Senomiya. This hurts. This hurts more than you know. But not for Kaito. Phew. Yeah, I'm pretty much sure that you didn't even have to break a sweat there. I crushed her. In more ways than one, Kaito. Lowest of the low indeed.
ひどいよ、カイ。こんなの、ちょっとしたいじめだよ。
万に一つの奇跡ってのを期待したんだけどな。
Really, Kaito?
もしこの状況でアキちゃんが俺に勝てたら、それってすごい奇跡でしょ。つまり、神様のおぼし飯ってことになる。
Hmm. Yet, hmm. I think you would have called it a fluke rather than a miracle, Kaito, if
それ
that
なら、
happened.
続ける価値もあるかもって思ったんだ。
Would you though, Kaito? Would you, after everything that you just said? In fact, even if you went along, you probably still wouldn't believe in her any more than you do now.
奇跡なんて起きないよ。たとえ起きたって勝てるわけないし。カイのバカ、もうほっといて。
This is on you, Kaito. This is your fault. You did this. I hope you're proud of yourself, Kaito Yashio. I do hope that you are proud. And I say that with dripping sarcasm. Whoa. He finally gets a clue, but too little, too late. She's really sobbing. And you shoot her out for not being able to read the room.
悪かったよ。
You forfeited your right to apologies, Kaito.
もういいよ。カイなんてどうせこれまでろくに手伝ってくれなかったし、カイがいてもいなくてもあんまり変わらないんだからね、バカ。カイなんて嫌いだ。
Yeah, you deserve this, Kaito. You're the same as everyone else. You chose Misaki over Akiho every time.
こんにゃ
Well,
なん、
this isn't good. Oh, now you realize she's completely lost control of her emotions, and whose fault is that? I'm not going to be able to get through to her for a while.
アキちゃんさ、今日はもう帰りなよ。事後処理はめんどくさいけど俺がやっとくから。
カイこそもう帰って。うちなんかに付き合わなくていいから。
She has you there, Kaito.
うちは部長としてちゃんと最後まで責任全うする義務があるの。
Akiho then turns her back to me and starts climbing up the fallen Model 2.
パンツ見えるよ。
うるさい。
She grasps her knees and crouches on top of Model 2. Just keep digging that grave for yourself, Kaito. She's completely cut me off. There's no point in trying to get through to her anymore. It'll just be a waste of time. A waste of whose time, I wonder? She told me to go home, so I'll do just that. Her dream ends here. No matter how hard Akiho struggles alone, there's a limit to what she can accomplish. But I'm sure that someday the setback will become a fond memory for her. That's not how that works, Kaito. That isn't how that works. And then she can find a new dream and work toward that. That's, yeah, not a compliment. Three months have passed since then. Looking back on it, it felt like an incredibly hectic, busy few months. After graduating from high school, I left Tanegashima and started attending a prep school in Kagoshima. Well, that is a surprise. I'm spending a year here. After that, I plan on taking the entrance exam in Tokyo next year. An even bigger surprise. Akiho remained on the island. Of course she did. After everything that happened, she did her best to repair Model 2 by herself, but she couldn't make it in time for the Expo. She started working part-time at Kamada Motors, so I bet she still hasn't given up on her dream. I applaud her tenacity, I guess. Still as insensitive as ever, I see. I haven't been in contact with Juno or Subaru since the accident. I heard rumors that Subaru's surgery was a success, though. He's apparently taking some time off school to focus on rehab. That's definitely for the best in his case. Juno's completely shut down since then, still feeling guilty about what happened. She didn't attend our graduation ceremony, and she seems to have refused her job offer at Space Candy. Someday, I hope the deep wounds in her heart will heal. Frau returned to Tokyo last month. She said it was pointless to stay if she couldn't find her mother, and vanished from the hotel before I could even say goodbye. I heard Nai-san also returned to Tokyo. Her work was unrelated to rockets, so there was nothing left for her there. As always, Sister Centipede haunts my Pokecom. Irie has yet to show herself a single time. Now that I'm thinking of her, I wonder what happened to the Irie that was in cold sleep. Was she able to wake up safely in Tokyo? We might never know. I've been seeing Mizune in the news a lot less as of late. That's not a surprise. Maybe she's more focused on her position as a test pilot these days. The Kimijima reports were dispersed around the world and millions of users got their hands on them. It's April now and there's been no solar storm. No terrorism either, or at least nothing big enough to make the news. Today, after multiple delays to the schedule, Tanegashima Space Center launched its first rocket in 6 years. Well, at least Kenichiro got to achieve his dream, for what it's worth. They planned to broadcast it live on the internet, but that ended up getting scrapped entirely. In fact, the media didn't even pick up on it at all. It was actually fairly unnatural. But could it really be the machinations of the Committee of 300? Or is it that, after all this time, launching rockets into outer space just, isn't quite as newsworthy as it once was? The black rocket, quite different from the old H-2A models, took off from the launch pad without me there to see it. I guess Akiho went to watch though. She posted about it on Twitter, which is how I found out about the launch. I I casually glance to the south, in the direction of Tanegashima. There's a very small dot of light rising into the sky. I know for a fact that it's the light of a rocket. The rocket leaves behind a trail of smoke as it flies up into the blue sky. And away it goes. When I was little, I'd watch launches from Uchugaoka Park with Akiho, Mizane, and lots of native spectators. The thunderous roar of the fuel erupting in flame. The cheers of the spectators. But now I'm walking along the rows of cherry blossom trees lined up on Kagoshima. The rocket is so far away that it's just a speck in the distance. Yet still, just like Mizane would do in the past.
Go! Hot dog go!
I shout out at that tiny speck of light. And that was the bad ending. Achieved. I also got an achievement for defeating Akiho. No enemies remain. But it's not an achievement I'm happy to have gotten, I'm sorry to say. Which brings us to the end of this episode of Let's Play Robotics Notes Elite. And when we return, adventurers, the story is far from over. As always, until next we meet.